hit a 30-hit combo. You know what I mean? Did I just? Oh, there we go.
Okay, I'm back. Hey, there we go. All right.
Hey. Oh my fucking god. I'm so fucking happy weed is legal here now. You don't even understand.
It's nice. Like I remember the first time I went out to the res, walked in. I'll take one of those $5 pre-rolls, one of those $5 pre-rolls. It's so much different from those skimpy little 10 bags. Yeah, I used to get back in the day.
Especially because I almost got my fucking head blown off behind a possession charge. So it's like, it's surreal. This shit smells insane. That was a good pick. Blood Tender did me some justice on that one. But yeah, fucking I completely forgot what I was gonna say, but it's cool. So yeah, what's up? Let me actually, because I have to go live myself. I'm just getting in my zone here. All right, new stream title.
How you liking the new job?
It's been pretty fucking rad. So, well, I shouldn't say rad. It's been cool in the sense that like it's not nearly as demanding as my last 3 jobs have been because it's not a warehouse job, it's an office job. But even with that, it's still the stream brought to you by Barks Red Cream Soda. Also, by the way, it's still it's med chill. Like, it's awkward just because of not even office politics because I haven't been there long enough to get a feel for that yet. But it's awkward just because there's so many different personalities in the office, and I forgot because it's been like 10 years since I had an office job,
right?
And I forgot like how white people are when they're, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like the you walk into work, you see the MAGA hats, and you got to listen to fucking not even like good country music. You got to listen to fucking like Luke Bryan and shit all day at work, and it's like it's way more tolerable. I would much prefer that to risking getting fucking crushed by a ton and a half of fucking mufflers.
Sure.
So
yeah, no, like that whole office politics thing with like who's gonna listen to what music is like because it's always you want to listen to country? We can listen to country. I can find you country that we can all listen to and enjoy.
Right,
but
yeah.
You want to listen to garbage.
Basically. And then there is Christmas country. I found that out. That shit was brutal. Brutal. But then I was like, all right, we can do Christmas music. I'll allow Christmas music. Let's do Christmas jazz though. I feel like Christmas jazz is good office music.
Yeah.
And it was actually pretty chill. Oh man. All right, let me get my fucking Twitch ready. Sorry, I like just walked in the door. There's a long ass fucking line at the dispensary, so.
Right on. No, I'm patient.
That card's dead. All right. I am live. Let me retitle the stream. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Dog. All right. Okay, fucking finally. All right, now let me fucking go to my YouTube.
Oh yeah, you do that. You stream.
All right,
everything.
yeah. I only don't stream to Facebook just because it's a pain in the ass to put a stream key in every time I want to go live. So yeah, but I'm good and ready now. So
Cool.
hell yeah.
So, introduce yourself to everybody.
I'm Endless Cemetery. I started off as just kind of like a FGC and just like general like first person shooter game streamer, but I decided to start edging more and more into like politics, I guess, a few years ago. And while the vast majority of my content now is me playing either Diablo or Mortal Kombat or Hunt Showdown, when I do like stuff like I'm doing now, I talk about all kinds of different topics, mainly under the umbrella of leftism. Excuse me. I know everybody, their mother and their brother likes to call themselves that, so it doesn't really mean a whole lot. But for me, it's just I talk about abolition, prison abolition, gender abolition. I talk about you know land back and like just a lot of issues pertaining directly to black people. I read a lot of theory and stuff. One of my streams was I read Medical Apartheid. I want to do a review with some others about some bell hook stuff pretty soon. And yeah, that's kind of the vibe of my content. I very rarely do the react stuff. That's usually only when someone else in my damn, what the fuck? That's usually only when somebody else sorry. In chat, it's just like, hey, Endless, have you seen this? But yeah, that's pretty much me for the most part. If you want to give an intro, just I'm live. There's nobody watching me, but for my VOD.
Hi, for Endless's viewers. I'm Globus the Elder, Globus_the_Elder. I stream only on Twitch. I talk about AI, robots, futurism, that kind of stuff, and how we're going into the future. And I do it from, again, the TM leftist point of view. But yeah, and this is one of the things. Is just segue right into it. Like, you are, let's say, I think we can agree, a controversial figure sometimes within this.
We'll say that. We'll say that. Yeah. That's fair.
I generally find you to be consistent, which is why I respect you. And you don't tend to talk about things that you don't at least have some idea of what you're talking about. And when you don't know something, you tend to defer to people who do. And like,
right,
everything about that is like, and we don't need to get into any of the nonsense. It's just, I respect you, and that's why I feel that, you're someone that I could talk to, and I enjoy talking to.
Likewise. I respect you as, politically and stuff, but also just like as a fellow maker, you know what I mean? So
yeah. And that is a good jumping off point. With like, you have, you do the 3D printing. I do the 3D printing. You also have access to a drone, and some of your drone footage is really impressive. I like the camera.
Thank you.
How do you feel about the current state of like the drones and the 3D printing and in relation to like the AI and everything else of what's currently happening?
To be like 1,000% real, AI has been like one of the greatest boons in terms of like, so the whole reason I even got a drone in the first place was because you see the printer going behind me. I also do Gunpla. For those who don't know what that is, if you look up like Gundam, or if you know what Gundam is, they come in these plastic models that you pop out of runners and snap together, and you can get as intricate and detailed with it as you want. You can make them look hyper realistic or cell shaded or whatever, paint and sand and all that stuff with them. And I wanted to make like life scene dioramas, like novelty type stuff. So like the Battle of Gettysburg, but fought with GMs versus Zaku's. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. So my first one was going to be I've talked a lot about the area where I'm from. There's a landmark there called the Thomas Viaduct, which is one of the oldest stone bridges that's still in use by CSX to this day. It was built in 1835, just 2 years after Nat Turner's rebellion. I won't go too deep into it because it's actually another video I want to do talking about a lot of the immigrant workers and the freedmen and enslaved workers who built that don't get credit for it. Because when you go on Wikipedia, of course, it's just the guy who designed it, the white dude who designed it.
Right.
Sorry, I thought I heard a layer shift that scared me for a sec. Basically, I wanted to do a scene because obviously this was, antebellum. So during the Civil War, this bridge was actually a very, very important, like a key, what's the word? Checkpoint, I guess, or like headquarters, or like a heavily contested spot because that was, at the time it was the only link to DC. So the trains were super, super duper important, and Maryland itself was a border state, like a neutral state. The flag, just trivia, I'm going all over the place with these fucking tangents, but the Maryland flag itself represents the cohesion of the Confederacy with the Union. The checkers represent the Union. The cross and cross represents the Confederacy because of the economics of Maryland. Anyway, that quick and dirty history lesson. Suffice it to say, it had Union bases. There were 2 Union bases, Fort Dix, and I forget what the other base was called at the moment. It might have been called Fort Johns. That were essentially on either side of the valley that the train itself crossed. So what I wanted to do is basically have some GMs that like represented the Union soldiers and just have like a couple GM like sniper positions just chilling on either side of the valley, maybe like a downed mobile suit like underneath the bridge for repairs or something. I thought that would just look cool.
Yeah.
And the initial desire was like, I'll just cut it out of styrofoam with a foam cutter and it'll be a pain in the ass. It'll take forever, but it'll look good. I'll do it myself, blah, 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 blah. Then I realized I could just 3D print the fucker. So I was trying to get decent aerial shots like off of Google or whatever so that I could decently 3D design it. And here's where the journey started because there was no really good at the time, a few years ago, pre-COVID, there was no really good aerial shots of it. So I was like, fuck it, I'll get a drone myself and I'll go out there myself. And in that process, discovering that like 3D design is actually really fucking hard and I didn't really have the patience for it. And then I discovered that there's photogrammetry, which actually uses AI. So it's like that project would still be not even on the drawing board for me if not for that. So that's just in and of itself, but also like with that and also even with 3D modeling, like if you're actually 3D designing stuff, there's different with like Unreal 5 and stuff now too, especially. You used to have to spend like hours and hours and hours modeling stuff like trees or foliage or whatever, and now you can just have AI generate that shit in like 30 seconds. And so and you know, you and I have talked about this before and expressed this sentiment before, but it's like literally just another tool if it were appreciated and viewed with the proper like perspective on it. But I feel like there's you know, the media wants to sensationalize it because that is how they make their money. And you have dumbass people like Elon Musk who just like want to seem smart. You know what I mean? And all of the like 100% of the ethical issues with AI come from capitalism
Exactly.
or white supremacy or whatever other like social ill you could think of. But
Right.
that's pretty much my take on it. But that's my appreciation of it, like just from like a maker standpoint, is being able to leverage it to make projects like doable. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it would, I couldn't tell you, like I couldn't even ballpark do the amount of hours that I would have had to spend if I wanted to make it like realistic, like lifelike, like it looks in real life, like with a little fucking hot knife and like 30-40 sheets of styrofoam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I used to play Warhammer and I used to build my own terrain, so I know
Oh,
exactly
hell
what
yeah.
you
So
mean.
you know. Yeah. So you know then. Yeah.
I feel your pain, by the way, about discussing anything with any historical context, because, like, people will say, "Well, what's going on in the Middle East?" And I would go, "Okay, do you know World War One, right? Like, we have to go all the way back to
Right.
even talk about anything." But
yeah. And then people try to pretend like that shit doesn't even apply, even when you tell them about it. And it's like,
right, like the universe began yesterday and nothing else matters. It's like, dude,
right.
what are you talking about?
Right.
So,
Man.
is there anything in particular that you're aware of in the AI space that like has you excited, like that you see an opportunity for something that you are going to be able to do beyond what you just said, like something that is just coming out or anything else like that?
I don't even know if I can say this. So we were talking before before we went live and stuff.
Yeah.
And I got these two Raspberry Pi Zero Ws here. One is a V2. And they're both going to be made into nice Ponagachis purely for educational purposes. And that's the kind of stuff that has me a little excited, honestly. And not like, and I shouldn't even really say me. I mean, like the 14-year-old boy, the 14-year-old script kiddie that's still inside of me
Right.
is really fucking stoked on like AI skitty shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Strictly for educational purposes.
Strictly for educational purposes.
Exactly.
For no other reason.
The Now, I don't know how much, like, what prompted this particular conversation that we're having today was that you mentioned on Twitter about automation in your job. I don't know how much you can speak about that, because you're working there, but whatever you can say on that would be great.
It's mad simple. We just sell furniture. I feel like that's vague enough.
Mm-hmm.
But what my particular job involves is dealing with large sets of data because I essentially have to close out projects.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think how I can put this. So, say for example, like if you own a house and you want to put a pool in the backyard, like an in-ground pool or something, or an above-ground pool, you have to find a manufacturer for the pool. You have to find someone to deliver the parts from the manufacturer to the site. You might even have to find an installer to pay for all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to coordinate all of this stuff, but you also need the resources to be able to find and manage all that stuff. And that is like the biggest pain in the ass of doing all that stuff. You could tell people what to do all day, but like actually looking shit up and collating information and like all that stuff, that's the most irritating part. So if you can outsource that, that makes your job very easy because pretty much all you have to do is just stand there and make sure people aren't fucking up.
Right.
And that's pretty much my job. But because there's like so many houses that need pools basically, you have all of these different installers and contractors and unions and manufacturers to deal with, that you might even be on like a first name basis with some of these people.
Right.
But because there's so many moving parts, and if, say for example, it's the end of the summer and everybody wants a new pool before winter when you can't really dig and that kind of stuff, you're going to have an influx of projects on top of all the other things. So I's don't get dotted, T's don't get crossed, that type of stuff. And I'm the one who basically makes sure that in the system, so that like finance can do their job and calculate all the completed jobs and stuff that they have at the end of the year. My job is to make sure that when all of the work is done and like the tools are picked up and everything is ready, that the project in the system is actually completed that way, not just that everybody's finished.
Right.
So that requires like knowing all of that specific information. And I use something called Rose. That's basically I just suck that shit out of Excel and squirt it out on Rose, and it just does everything for me now, basically.
So, like, before Rose, how long would it take you to do something like that? Like, if you had to take an estimate?
It easily reduced the time that I have to spend doing that shit. And it's not even anything crazy. It's just the formatting. Easily by like a third of me, instead of exporting this data to Excel, opening another book, and then picking out the data sets and then throwing them into this other book, and then once it's in the other book, fucking formatting it, massaging it, right? I just take it out of the first book and throw it into Rose, and Rose already knows. And it's just kind of how it is. It's been really, really fucking easy. It makes it so I like have to. It's one of those things now where it sucks because like I have to like look busy, and I hate that shit. I'm not good at it. Because people, I feel like people low key get mad because like every time they look at me, I'm just like looking at my phone or like fucking like watching MK Player like walkthrough videos on fucking YouTube or something. It's like,
yeah.
But then there'll be a random day where somebody be like, "Oh my fucking god, yo, Endless. Thanks for that. You fucking saved my ass on this." And I'm just like,
all right, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Do you see, like, if you had to be honest and take a look at it, do you see a way in which your job could be like completely automated away?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just that the people who deal with that shit are too old. Either, I don't know. I think it might be a combination of things. The people who write and deal with it are not savvy enough with that shit yet to incorporate it into the OS or the in container shit that we have to do that information with. But also the people that work in ops with me are all like really fucking old, like in technology terms. Like the main reason they got me in there was to teach them to give all the rest of them like gems on the new hotness that they like just got installed earlier this year or something. They're still getting used to, which is the same exact position I was in at my last job, except it wasn't as compartmentalized as this. So at my last job, I just ended up doing every fucking thing. And it's not really like that because people respect titles and shit here. So
okay,
and I'm not a temp, so there's also that.
Well, that's good. That's good. I know that was a sticking point with the previous joint.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you able to educate these people on the new hotness, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a matter of anything super duper technical. It's always 100% of the time. It's like it'll always be like comp sci 101. A lot of the time, I'm just like writing down hotkeys, or somebody will be like, "Yo, how do you do this?" And I'm like, "Here, here, here, here." Like I have an actual like and I learned this because I went when one of my classes in ITT Tech was instructional design, so I got some pretty good pointers about it, about like um, and this is just basic like computer shit too. If you are hip to any kind of program, but like if this do this, that type of thing.
Yeah,
and
flow charting.
Right, yeah. So I basically just like draw flowcharts for people in there. Or I just like yell over the cubicle like a verbal flowchart or just like a step by step. Because I can look at the same screen they're looking at, which also helps. So
do you look at yourself in that context of, the job being automated away? Do you think that you are in a position to outlast, a good number of these people, or like?
I would say in terms of the job itself existing, just because of the type of place that this is, I don't think anybody's job is going to get anybody who works there, like no one who works there right now is at risk of losing their job to AI, put it that way.
Okay.
Whether or not whether or not AI could do our jobs even within the next like 3 or 4 years is a completely different question.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, I have a feeling that most, if not all, the people that work in my in my department are going to retire way before me, like within the next decade for sure. But for me personally, I think with this job, if it goes the way that I think it's going to go, in terms of if it's something I'm going to be able to like retire off of, I'm thinking, yeah, for sure. Or at the very least, my position can change where it needs to, and I can still do my thing. But yeah, I would say a solid like 75% of like all jobs in that entire company could probably very easily be automated within the next like 5 to 10 years.
And that's based on like the technology as you understand it today. Like, who knows what's going to develop in the next 6 months?
Right, exactly. But even with that, because this is just like the weird ass fucking world we're in now, right? Where like customer service is like the most important aspect pretty much of it. And so you need a person for that, or at least you did before. Right. But now AI is so good, not even just with the flowchart, but like you can like digitally create a person. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, so a lot of that shit's gonna go bye-bye. And that's like things that don't exist literally like in meat space. So like everyone who isn't literally touching, so like using the pool analogy, everyone who isn't literally touching the pool itself at some point, their job is going bye-bye.
Yeah. Until the robots learn to install the pool.
And then, well, yeah. Then you just buy like drones or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if I had to press you on what you think the employment landscape, how the politicos are going to interact, how corporations are going to react, things like UBI and like universal food and medical care, any of these things, all the concepts all together. What do you think it's going to do?
I think it's going to create new like 2020 conditions. At least that's my hope, is that you're going to have massive fucking layoffs. Not like I'm not hoping people lose their job and go through the suffering and shit, because I was just realizing how I phrased that in my head. It sounded fucked up. What is probably going to happen is there will be lots of layoffs, lots of fucking like the misery index is going to increase drastically.
Mm-hmm.
And what my hope is from out of that is that you will have at the very least people who will question capitalism probably for the first time in their lives behind that, and maybe Jesus, we'll start to have some more like socialist or maybe even communist policies as a consequence of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that shit is always a snowball, right? Because like that's why like restaurants can't just like give away food even when it's about to expire, right? Because if it's like if you could give away food this one time, why can't you just like give food away all the time? Question marks.
Right.
And it'll kind of be one of those things. I feel like, but what I'm seeing happen though is just like this fucking headlong rush towards fascism, which kind of sucks. Because people seem like really super married to white supremacy in this country, which is really unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But and patriarchy as well, and obviously fucking cis normativity. But I don't know. Shit is like really fucking weird, and it also comes along with we're gonna start to see like fucking like global infrastructure crippling climate change, like global affecting famines, and obviously there's gonna be climate refugees. You know, fucking my heart goes out to the people in Maui because they've been fucking begging people not to come there for our brick. And people are like, no, I think I want to come out there. It's really pretty. And I heard it looks nice. So I'm gonna come out there. And like that was all shit I learned about as a result of the ongoing pandemic too. Is like people talking about how shit was already fucked up out there in terms of the medical system because people go out there and fucking step on coral or get stung by Portuguese man o' war or whatever out there, and they tie up the medical system.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, people are going out there with fucking vid and like getting everybody's fucking elders sick on top of tying up the medical system. It's just like I don't know. I'm really hoping that it's like an eye-opening, empathetic experience for people. But I'm like very slowly watching the world turn into the road before my very eyes. So,
No, I feel that.
Rest in peace, Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah. Yeah, that for anyone who doesn't know, like you watch some real shit. Watch The Road and read the book, and like that man pulled no punches.
I watched that movie, so like I mean like immediately after I watched the movie because I hadn't read the book. I started a band with this dude who read the book and was like fucking obsessed with it. So he like wanted to start like a concept band, not like a concept band, but like a death metal band, but like really wanted to write lyrics about that particular book. So then I watched the movie and I was like, fuck yeah. And then that year was this insane fucking blizzard. And I probably walked like 15 miles in the snow that year just because I was like all bundled up and like pretending that the world was like a fucking irradiated wasteland and shit.
Right.
I don't know. I was like 18, 19. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Like I remember there was this one bad blizzard, and I was at work, and I just bundled up. It's like I'm not staying at work, right? Like I will walk home.
Yeah,
like,
fuck yeah. Yeah, y'all are bugging.
But yeah, like, see, my take on the thing has been like that. There's going to be such a displacement of workers without work, and you are going to run up against the economic realities of your choices are either to, do the UBI, like whatever names they want to give it, but like food, shelter, clothing, housing, all that stuff, or you have to be. You go the other route and you don't provide any of those things, and then you have a bunch of people with time on their hands and hungry children. And
Right.
the people,
And we're talking about America, so they're probably very well armed.
that too, like that we are looking at a situation where I understand that, like, we take shots at people like Elon Musk for being an idiot and Joe Biden for being an idiot and all that kind of stuff. But, like, there's a bunch of smart people who work in corporations and government and
Right.
things like that. And they have to be aware of that there's a tipping point, right? Like, the New Deal was a response to exactly that kind of thing. And that was only 25% unemployment at its worst, if I recall correctly. So, like, the
Yeah.
idea that we could be. I've seen numbers of up to 82% unemployment, and I can make an argument.
I think that's conservative, personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I can make an argument that there is no job that can't be automated, like on a long enough
Right.
timeline.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like I was saying, I think that's conservative. My immediate thought was like, okay, so like the freight handlers, and like, you know, crane operators, lift operators, those types of people, their jobs will be safe, but their jobs are only going to be safe for like a decade before somebody figures out a fucking self-driving forklift, or, you know, figures out how to put lidar on a crane or some type of shit like that. You know what I mean?
Well, if I can comment on that, there's an alleged Chinese port that is apparently like
fully automated,
right?
Oh my
like,
god, you're giving me a chub.
And they went from 800 workers to 200 workers, and I don't know, man. Like, I think that one of the biggest concerns that I have is how much time people think we have, right? To adapt.
I would agree.
Like, we are one step away, like, and it's only human resistance which is preventing it from happening faster. Like,
yeah,
you know, if you had a bean counter at your job who was just like, I want to automate all this shit by the end of the year, like, yeah, you feel me.
Yeah. The only shit, and this is even still like, give it time. The only shit that I've like in terms of the office, like the non-warehouse people where I work, I feel like the only people who wouldn't necessarily be immediately automated outside of the people who touch the freight are the people who so like with the pool analogy, you would have to have someone know like the plot size of your yard, like your property size, and then you might even have them like draw a design or something. Like this would be the most efficient like shape pool for the size of your yard and the shape of your property, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like that, I don't think you could immediately automate, but the operant word in that sentence was immediate.
Right. And I recently read an article on Stream about how architects are worried about that AI is coming for their job. So
that doesn't surprise me at all. I feel like the AI, especially like engineers, like structural engineers, AI would probably eventually at some point be able to do their job better than they could.
Mm-hmm. And that's all it needs to do is just be like even equal, maybe a little bit better, and then it's game over. Like,
this is capitalism we're talking about. It doesn't even necessarily have to be equal. It just has to not fuck up enough to cost money.
Right. Now, with that being the case, do you like, because one of the things that I've been talking about lately is with like video games and how there's enough technology happening. There's, you know, chatbot NPCs going on. There's a variety of different things. We're already at procedurally generated worlds, were procedurally generated missions within the video games and things like that. Do you see, like, I don't want to say use that democratization of the space, but like, do you see opportunities for people to be more creative and to create more things that would be interesting to other people?
Absolutely. And that's, I feel like as cliche it is as it is to say democratizing the space is it's accurate because and you know shout out to Lucid Kitty is Lucid is trying to start or is Lucid Kitty is starting a video game studio that is like black owned, black run, and focusing on like black stories and black characters.
Mm-hmm.
And but the focus is that he wants it to be triple A, right? Like it's going to be like a Call of Duty, like literally like that quality, that height of game, which necessarily requires, at least before, necessarily required budgets that could be inflated, especially when we're talking about your Call of Duties, budgets that get inflated into the billions of dollars.
Right.
And that all that money literally just gets spent on like what I was talking about before, motherfuckers who fucking paint trees. You know what I mean? Like that type of shit. And when you have the capability to, even if you have the technical know-how, like I know how to do all of this stuff, I just only have one pair of hands. Right. Even beyond that, if you're like, I have a fucking amazing idea for a game, but I have no idea how to code, I have no idea how to 3D model, right? You have a crack, or at least you can get in touch with somebody who is like, oh yeah, I can use Stable Diffusion, or yeah, I can use ChatGPT or whatever coding AIs are out there, because they exist now to the point where fucking when people interview you for a job, they have to make sure you're not using AI to code. Like it's just, yeah, it shit's wild.
Yeah, no, it is a brave new world, and like that's one of the things that gives me hope is like there are, you like you said, like we live in a white supremacist dominated society. Most of the stories are told, if not about white history, at least through a white history lens. Like, you know, your Pocahontas kind of story is told in that way. But first off, that movies like Prey and oh, what the fuck? There was something else I watched, and like there were very.
Have you seen?
Go ahead.
Just because Prey made me think of it, is Blood Quantum. That shit was good.
Blood Quantum.
It's a zombie movie. Essentially, the plot of it is that like there's a zombie outbreak that happens, but there's an indigenous community in Alaska that finds out that they're immune to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a bunch of stuff happens from there. But yeah, it's really fucking cool.
Yeah, in there is a market for these stories, right? Like, hold on one second. I'm being a poor stringer. Blood Quantum. What is Blood Quantum on? What service?
Think about who you're talking to for a second. You think I actually pay for fucking movies?
No. I'll Google it. I'll find it. My bad. But yeah, it just like I see an opportunity here for more of that, like people telling their stories, right? Like that are more like you're talking about this bridge. And the idea that you could have, like, by using the technology that's like either currently available or like just on the other side of available, and you could craft a story, generate the characters with AI, have, you know, something like ChatGPT do most of the heavy lifting, and you make sure that like the points of the particular story are accurate and told the way that you want them, and it's your voice that's being reflected, but it's doing all the ands and ors and all that other crap. And then you're able to tell this story over the course of like an hour and a half. You can upload it onto YouTube. You have all these tools that are available to do that kind of thing either today or like tomorrow. And there's the problem that we run into is the problem that we always run into is discoverability.
Mm-hmm.
And I just I don't know who to talk to and how you would do it, but like somebody needs to do like discoverability.ai, right? Like that crawls the web, knows the things, understands the user, and is able to find all this different stuff and put it in front of them. Because as we democratize the space, we are going to have way more content than we're going to be able to be aware of. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I feel like Google is trying, but because of all the shit that we've talked about, the problems with the people who are programming the AI now, um, it doesn't really work as well as a lot of people would hope. But for me, like I view like that would be great, but like I kind of just view like AI as like telekinesis.
Mm-hmm.
Is like there's a thing that you want to do, but you might not be capable of for whatever reason. So you just get the robot to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still you because robots don't necessarily think in the way that we would think of like a person creating something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's really what a machine is just a more complicated tool. Like a machine needs instructions. Um, so like that's just kind of how I look at it is like I was saying, like if you don't really know how to code, just get that shit to code for you. And then eventually that'll become more and more literal where like with like freight and stuff like that. You want to move this thing that weighs 8 tons from here to here, and you just fucking get a machine to do it. Or
Mm-hmm.
like think of the most efficient way to do it or whatever.
Yeah. No, like, for instance, you know who Maersk is, the shipping company?
Yeah.
They are like heavily invested in automating the entire supply chain from top to bottom. They have publicly stated this, and that was like another one of those benchmarks of like shit is getting serious out here. Like they are moving and they are putting the money. Where's the money going? And
Oh
that tells
yeah.
you what they're trying to do.
That's how I knew weed was going to get legalized in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I saw that there was like Baltimore Ravens, like football players and like you know what I mean, like rappers and shit who are investing in the infrastructure here, I was like, oh, that's passing. Like,
Right.
there's no fucking way. I should address this because someone just asked, "What the fuck is the Ponagachi in my chat?" And it's related to what we're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
So AI, in terms of machine learning, a Ponagachi is basically it is a machine that is an AI that reads like packets from Wi-Fi. It eats Wi-Fi's basically. It eats Wi-Fi handshakes. If you can think of it as a machine that eats Wi-Fi handshakes and spits out hashes for you, what you do with those hashes is then up to you. I would strongly recommend, as a person who is a law-abiding citizen, that you stay well within the legal ramifications of your state
Yep.
and your federal government, as well as your local providences or whatever. But essentially, what the Ponagachi does is, over time, the more handshakes it eats, the more it learns of what to look for, the most delicious kinds of handshakes to eat, if it were. So that's basically what a Ponagachi is. It's like if you remember having a Tamagotchi on your hip as a kid, and like you like it's just got a little face, you like feed it and love it and stuff. You don't understand anything I just said? Okay. All right. How can I put this? So your Wi-Fi router and your phone. If you can imagine the data going back and forth between them as a message inside of a sealed envelope. It's going back and forth between your phone and your router. What the Ponagachi basically does is snatches the envelope and photocopies it and then throws it back in the air. And as it goes, it figures out, oh, there's envelopes that are easier to open, or there's envelopes that have easier to see through. Yeah, there's envelopes that are easy. Yeah, there's envelopes that are easier to see through. Whatever. It figures this out for you and gives you these envelopes. Now, you could decide to figure out how to open the envelope yourself and look at what's in it. That might be breaking the law. I would strongly recommend that you not do that.
Do not do
I
that.
would strongly recommend
the law is the ultimate arbiter.
Stay legal.
And you should always stay legal.
But that said, yeah, it's basically some of a packet sniffer.
Information being discussed can be used to help defend yourself against these kind of things.
Right, yeah.
It's okay to learn about and talk about. We should
right.
always
The moral of the
law.
story, the way to beat it is, the moral of the story is make a good password that's like good, long, has a bunch of characters in it, and don't use the same password everywhere.
Always good advice.
Really the thing that I'm using this for, that's legal to do, is seeing how hard my Wi-Fi is to break, and seeing how hard my router is to break, because I already know my password. So
yeah, and that is valuable to know, like, because you want good security. And as my homie Computer likes to tell people, like, security is not something that companies often invest in as much as they should. And
absolutely not.
You need to do everything you can, not only to use best quality products where you can, but also to use best quality, like, passwords, technology, because your data will be out there and you need to protect it from bad actors.
On that note, though, real quick, shout out my man's Hollybox TV. He said he was forklift certified. Hell yeah. But the more, and this is where, I don't know, on the note of security, I don't know if automation is more of a good thing or a bad thing. Because I feel like a machine is a lot harder to fool than a man, but that might not necessarily always be the case.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, that is a good point. One of the things I think that, like, with the hopeful future, like the idea of, like, where automation and technology, robots create this hyper abundance that we're willing to meet the needs of everyone. We're like, everyone has food, everyone has housing, everyone has all these things. How transformative that would be to a lot of things as we understand them. Is like, why do people do crime? Why do people do cybercrime? Why do people, do these things that we have to invest in these security systems in order to, counter what they're doing? And that by resolving those material conditions, you alleviate the conditions that would make those folks want or need to do those things. You know what I mean? Like, how much does shoplifting go down if everyone has food?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the number of people who break into things or take things that don't belong to them for fun is very low compared to the people who do that shit because that's the only way that they can survive. And their immediate, like, that's their only immediate option.
Right.
Yeah, anyway. I was like, how much information do I want to give here? But basically, yeah, I used to, when I was like 14, I would occasionally like I had a CC gen and shit, and I would do this is honestly how I even got started doing this shit in the first place. I used to go war driving. I used to go war driving when I was like 14, 15. Because, like, I didn't have internet in my house, and the library has like you can't get to every side in the library. That and like you can't just there's certain shit you can't look at the library even if you use a proxy. Like I'm not about to look at the hub at the library. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I would just go war driving and catch like unsecured networks. And I was also in a particularly well off neighborhood. So I didn't like take from anybody I knew or anybody that I like was in my immediate vicinity or anything, but like I definitely figured out how to like poach credit cards and shit. Or you know, I was tapped into those like IRCs back in the day. And I literally only did that shit because like it was like exhilarating and like it was fun learning that information. Like I had an impulse to do it because I got fucked up as a child. I watched the movie Hackers, I watched the movie Giant Mnemonic, and I saw that scene in Terminator 2 where John Connor fucking hacks the ATM and all that money comes out. Yeah, I was fucked over at that point. And you know, my mom at the time was like a single mother, and like the house I grew up in, the whole time we lived there was like fucking 2 rooms that had no furniture in them. So it was just like times were hard sometimes. And there were times where I wanted for very little, but other times I was just like kind of fucking out there. And I was old enough to be able to be like, hey, I'm gonna fucking get some shit delivered to the house down the street or to my homie's house or whatever. And a lot of the Black Hat people, like, because Vice has done this, interviewed these people and shit like that, and a lot of them are people who do like Robin Hood type shit, where they're just like find, for example, like a company that has business accounts, steal all those credit card numbers, but like 0-day them so they don't know they've been compromised, and then randomly one day out of the blue, either small amounts over time or just like fuck it, just max all these cards out at once to get like all the kids in the neighborhood shoes or like, you know what I mean, groceries for the families in their fucking their unit, their apartment or whatever, their project or whatever. And it's just like it's another one of those things where it's like the internet itself isn't necessarily a bad thing, but very fucking nefarious things can happen to you, and 100% of them are because of capitalism,
right,
or white supremacy or whatever.
Yeah, I see. Like, I'm just a guy who, like, okay, you're looking at, you know, a symptom of the problem with whatever you're trying to cure. Let's fix the actual problem, and then we just don't have to deal with it anymore. And that's how I get to, like, let's just feed everybody, right? Like, there's enough food, then let's just feed them, and then we're done.
Right.
We don't have the problem. And then that's why I don't do the debate thing, because, you know, people want to get goofy and they want to talk about, like, well, you know, capitalism does the whatever. Okay, well, how many people have to die in order for your system to work? And that's why I don't agree with it. Mine is 0, right? Like, no one should be going hungry. Wait, this is got to be 2023. What are we doing?
And it's part of that mentality of like people who complain about like riots and shit, for example, or like, look, people are taking TVs, and it's like, I would take a fucking TV too. The person taking TVs doesn't invalidate the other fucking 12 people who are taking diapers, my dude.
Right?
Like, the fuck are you talking about? But that's, you know, I don't know. It's weird.
And even like the person who's taking the TV, like, maybe they're putting it in their house, but there's a bunch of socio-economic reasons why that kind of, like how we glorify a big TV in your house, you know, like there's all sorts of stuff. But maybe that person is going to sell that TV and use it to buy their food for the next month. You know what I mean?
Who knows?
So it's like, but people like
the person is going to risk their fucking life to play 2K. Like, they think people are that silly. Like, nah, people don't risk going to jail for hella years for fun. A lot of the time, it's not usually people who live in abject poverty do. Like, usually they do that shit because they want to eat or feed their kids or siblings or whoever.
Well,
they might even want some nice capitalist shit. They might want an iPhone or whatever. Who cares? Like,
yeah, like that is exactly it. Like, what is the status symbol? How do you know when you made it? It's the stuff, right? So like, if I can shortcut the distance between me and the stuff, why wouldn't I do that, right? Other than the risk involved, and there's very little risk in the middle of a hurricane or whatever. But
And then on top of that, we make the world a fucking. I'm having my Dr. Allcome moment and fucking Giant the Mnemonic, but like this is shit we just straight up can't live without at this point. Like you almost can't live without a smartphone. Like you can't live without a car for sure. Like
yeah, you can't live without internet. You can't be a functional in American society without internet, because you have to go online to do the job interview and fill out the application and all the other crap. And so people's needs goes well beyond like you just need a house, food, and some clothes. Let's be real.
I'm a solar punk. I think this shit's cool, and if we can find a way to keep it without fucking up the planet, let's do it. But if not, yeah, maybe it should go.
No, I feel that. So we've been going at it for about an hour. Is there anything else you wanted to get to that we didn't get to?
Nah, I was just kind of rambling. I'm usually pretty aimless when I like. I don't know. Even when I it feels weird when I do this, because even when I like, I mean, we've been talking for an hour. Like even when I'm talking about, I have a topic I want to talk about. I feel like I go on tangents and shit, very incoherent when I talk. I'm hoping that all the shit that I said made sense, but
like as far as I can tell, Twitch is built on that. Both people who want to hear it and people who want to spit it. So, you know, it's just always a pleasure talking to you. And
likewise,
I just look for an excuse, right? Like as soon as you said something about AI and automation, it's like cool. I get to talk to Endless again.
Hell yeah!
I want to do a thing. I have an idea. Let me spit this at you while I got you. So I came up with the idea of like kind of like a game show format. Get like 4 people, and like the idea would be like, okay, who is your favorite comic book character, right? And then you have to justify that comic book character to the other 3 people. And then the other 3 people vote on like what tier that character falls into. And then like whoever gets the most of like the S tiers, and you know, the assign points to each tier. Like you say, who's your favorite comic book character? Do you like what's his name?
Night Thrasher.
Night Thrasher. So you say Night Thrasher, and you got to justify why Night Thrasher should be in S tier, and then the other 3 people vote, and it's worth a certain number of points. Everybody does that, and then we go through a few different categories of stuff like that, and then whoever gets the most point wins, whatever the fuck that means. It just
I think
like
he should
fun.
be in. Yeah, I was gonna say I think he should be S tier because he is a better hand-to-hand combatant than Punisher, who is the best hand-to-hand combatant in the Marvel universe. He can beat the Punisher in a one-on-one, and he's as smart as Iron Man and as rich as Iron Man, but he's black, so he's better.
I was a huge fan of the New Warriors back in the day. Like they did a bunch of stuff. Like they did some time travel thing where like Egypt had conquered the world as opposed to like Europe, and it was like
with Kang.
Yeah, it was awesome, dude. Like I love time travel, alternate history kind of crap.
Yeah, they fucked the New Warriors up pretty bad though, honestly.
Oh yeah, no, I mean they made them basically responsible for Civil War. That was like that was cold.
Oh well, I mean there's that, but then they just fucking killed him, and then like they haven't come back. When they tried to bring him back, they like made him goofy as shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm down for that idea. That sounds lit.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna work it out a little more, and I'll send it out because I think it'd be fun. Like debate stuff, like the debate kind of vibe, but like for stuff that like doesn't matter.
It's actually cool.
It's fun, right?
Shout out to Bellamy, because I saw they did for a fundraiser they did. It was like people in the audience got to like donate certain amounts of money to like vote on points that you had to argue and stuff like that too. I thought that was pretty cool, like just for fun.
I don't know if you got a chance to check out Paradigm's discourse chamber thing that he did. But he had
I
like
don't think I checked that one. I might have missed that one.
Yeah, he had like Josie Rose and me. And
oh wait, no, I did see that one. Yeah.
I thought that was a
dope.
really good experience as well because it wasn't like antagonistic. We had differing ideas, but like it was cordial and fun. And there needs to be more of that to satisfy whatever it is about debate that gets people off.
I mean, there's a certain age group involved in that too, though.
There is.
All of us, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, my friend. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'll see you again in the future.
I'm sure. Oh yeah.
All right. I hope Gru the Wanderer, Bark Eater J. One of the few comic books I could get my father to actually like invest his time in was Gru, because he comes out of the Mad magazine, that kind of thing, and I love Gru. Like, I always have a special place in my heart. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. That's going to be it for today. We'll be back on Monday. Taking a look, see. I think that we will raid Telorx, because if I'm reading this right, they're doing some kind of ranking stream, and Telorx is a homie. Oh yeah, which dogs are going to hell and heaven? That should be fun. It sounds like it vibes with the last thing we were just talking about. So, in the meantime, I appreciate every one of you. We'll be back with more AI content on Monday. There's always more AI content. Use the tools, invest in the tools, find a way, do what you can, be better, faster, stronger, and influence as we go forward. Drink some water, eat some food. I need to do that. I have eaten very little today. I'm a chump. Take your meds if you forgot. Shuggy loves you. So do I. I'll see you Monday. Be good.